usual prayers. They are very sacred and special. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari. Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Raj, and he wanders in the forests along the banks of the river Yamuna. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The universe embraces each one of us, yet we can be so blinded by the darkness. Because our true teachers guide us with the torchlight of knowledge, our eyes can be opened to the power and sweetness of illumination. Therefore, let us bow down to all those who guide us on our spiritual path. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I offer my obeisances to my spiritual master, who gave me beautiful kantimala, effulgent tilak, the beautiful form of a devotee, and who offered me the shelter. In one of his hands he is holding my hand, and with his other hand he is holding the lamp of knowledge, which helps me to cross over the dark ocean of the material world. Surdas says my guru deserves the greatest respect, because only he can rescue one in the blinking of an eye. I bow to him again and again and again. And with that, I want to thank every single person gathered here for your presence, and also request blessings that I may say something worth your time and attention. So let's go to the verses. I'll share the screen. Okay. So it's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 73, verse 11 to 14. So I will go through translation and read the Sanskrit of the last. Just as men of childish intelligence consider a mirage in a desert to be a pond of water, so those who are irrational look upon the illusory transformations of Maya as substantial. And so here we are entering into, I think, the fourth verse of the prayers of the kings. Previously, blinded by the intoxication of riches, we wanted to conquer this earth, and thus we fought one another to achieve victory, mercilessly harassing our own subjects. We arrogantly disregarded you, O Lord, who stood before us as death. But now, O Krishna, that powerful form of yours called time, moving mysteriously and irresistibly, has deprived us of our opulences. Now that you have mercifully destroyed our pride, we beg simply to remember your lotus feet. This is the last one. Adho narajyam mrigatrishni rupitam dehina shashwat patata rujam bhuva upasitavyam sprayamahe vibho kriya phalam prityacha karnarochanam. And here are the synonyms for us to also know this verse more intimately. Atau henceforward, not, Rajyam, kingdom, Mrigatrishni, like a mirage, Rupitam, which appears, Dehena, by the material body, Shashwat, perpetually, Patata, subject to the mice, Rujam, of diseases, Bhuva, the birthplace, Upasitavyam, to be served, Sprayamahe, do we hanker for, Vipho, O Almighty Lord, Kriya, of pious work, Palam, the fruit, Pratya, having passed to the next life, Cha, and Karna, for the ears, Rochanam, enticement. And this is translation and purport by the beloved disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Never again will we hanker for a mirage-like kingdom, a kingdom that must be slavishly served by this mortal body, which is simply a source of disease and suffering, and which is declining at every moment. Nor, O Almighty Lord, will we hanker to enjoy the heavenly fruits of pious work in the next life, since the promise of such rewards is simply an empty enticement for the ears. So it's really a surrender. And here's a purport. One must work very hard to maintain a kingdom or political sovereignty, and yet the body which works so hard to maintain one's political power is itself doomed. I think we all can relate to that statement. At least the body being doomed in itself. At every moment, the mortal body moves towards death, and all along the way, the body is subject to many painful diseases. The whole affair of mundane power is thus a waste of time for the pure soul who needs to revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. The Vedic scriptures and other religious scriptures contain many promises of prosperity and heavenly enjoyment in the next life for one who acts piously in this life. Such promises are pleasing to the ears, but they are nothing more than that. Material enjoyment, whether in heaven or in hell, is a type of illusion for the pure soul. By the personal association of Lord Krishna, the fortunate kings have now realized the higher spiritual reality beyond the phantasmagoria of the material creation. And here I also want to, even before I go into almost the plan I made, we will see if I actually execute it. But in this passage already, there is the mentioning of heaven and hell, and that is a very tends to be a Christian connotation of words. And so just to even make an arc of those words in this context, the heaven is not, again, the ultimate reality or like eternal abode. It's actually a higher realm or planetary system where one can go, a jiva can go, where there's still enjoyment and there's still a passage of time where they eventually die and go through suffering over again. So it's not really the end destination. It's just like a relatively short break with a bunch of pleasure that one can experience. So that's also why this is quite strongly advised against here, because we are not really seeking temporary things, and that's still material. Our main pursuit is the pursuit of eternality and relationship with the divine. So I'm going to stop the sharing here and just go into the commentary. Okay, also looking at the chat in case there are any messages, but not yet. So I want to speak about the setting. There are 20,800 kings standing right in front of the Lord, and he has just instructed them the most valuable lesson of their life and their entire existence, which is essentially teaching them how important it is to have a relationship with him, to remember him, and how the goal of our life is truly to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's pretty much all we can really ever wish for. And that's the only subject really worth wishing for. And so they are first emaciated, and they essentially have come to see the Lord in the form of death, like us, the time passing, being very close to death. They have been imprisoned for many years, disempowered completely as warriors. If we think about a warrior personality, that's a person who is really attached to their strength. They're always working on their strength, want to remain a strong body. And they are also, the kings are those who are holding power over others. They are also having a lot of opulence, and they are, at least in a certain sense, of materialistic kings, which these are before their transformation after meeting with the Lord Krishna. They are attached to their opulences and the results of their materialistic pursuits, which they already mentioned. They also hoarded through using others in very unfair ways, to say the least. And right now, they're actually speaking with a unified voice. What I found very beautiful in this pastime is that there are again 20,800 kings standing in front of the Lord, and they are speaking with a unified voice, having gone through a shared struggle together, and having also come out of this shared struggle with the same or at least similar realization. And so it's a realization and intention of many hearts which are standing together. And that to me is a Sangha. It's a Sangha through struggle that they are also experiencing, a sense of sharing of the hearts and deep understanding of one another, to the point that they can almost be this unified, beautiful choir of voices and hearts. And so in that way, I was also thinking, like, this is a very similar position we are in a way that we are in this world going through struggles that we can all relate to in many aspects. They are repetitive and almost actually truly cyclical. And in that way, there is a chance for us to even come to a sharing of the heart and sharing of the intention to come closer to divinity. And in a way, that's like the highest goal of association or Sangha or community, a spiritually centered community, where we can recognize the commonality between us, especially the how we have this incredible struggle in the material world and pursuit of true eternal relationship with the Lord in common, and that allowing us to have this sense of unity and making an offering which has so many flavors string together and yet comes as well in this formation. So I found that to be very beautiful. It's this coherence and connection that we can see in the kings standing together. And upon seeing the Lord, immediately they regain life. They are in a near death state. And upon seeing the Lord, they again feel life rushing back into them. And again, that's something that is just so extraordinary, to have a vision and to have a darshan of the Supreme Lord. And they are speaking, which is true, that time is meeting everybody as death. And that's something that we can truly count on. That's something that is given. And at the same time, also, this is a way in which every living entity meets the Lord in the form of time, even if they are not meeting him in his more personal manifestation. And so this is also really beautiful. It brings the sense like that now they are the kings, and we also have a chance of knowing the Lord from completely two different sides. One is almost knowing him as something that just naturally, in a way, brings us both pain, but also realization and life experience, and ways in which we can hopefully turn to him and, in a way, turn to know him more personally. We have a chance to know the Lord by his name, by the details. In a way, if you think about it, we have a chance to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only by the friends that he keeps and where he lives and what he likes to do and what is his favorite things to wear and what are his favorite instruments to play, but also even what's in his lunchbox and like what are his favorite foods to eat as well. And so it's really a beautiful opportunity that through chanting, through reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the sacred text that we have in our tradition, we can develop a relationship from the impersonal time into a very personal relationship with Krishna. And so he also speaks about himself as time in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 32. And I'm going to read that both in Prabhupada's translation and in Graham M. Schweig or Garuda Prabhu's translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain." And so this is Krishna speaking about, again, acknowledging himself as time, and also speaking in a context of standing at the battlefield of Kurukshetra and giving Arjuna instructions and also holding him in his own despair. And I want to read the same in a different translation. The beloved Lord said, "Time I am, acting to destroy the worlds, advancing forward to completely annihilate the worlds here, ever turning forward. Even without you acting, they shall all cease to be, those who are warriors arrayed on the opposite side." And so again, it's just this acknowledgement that whether we are trying to stop it or not, the time will really act on all of us. And so then there is this simple truth, which is that we are going to lose everything anyway. On one side, it's freeing that we don't leave our bodies with unnecessary baggage attached to us. On the other side, it also brings suffering in that way, to lose things that we may not want to give away. And at the same time, that also comes into this simple solution or potential strategy, which is that if we are going to lose anything, how sweet it is to actually allow ourselves to first learn detachment from them, and then secondly, to actually offer them. Because in this way, we actually make an offering of something which is going to be temporary, which is temporary. anyway. And that brought me this metaphor of like spoiled food. Like if we don't offer or if we don't share like eat food with somebody else when we actually have it, like that is something that very quickly spoils. That's actually, the nature of organic things. They just quickly disintegrate. And it's like, okay, there's a chance for us to like offer a meal for somebody to help them out or to even share a heart with someone else. And instead it just like goes to waste. And if we are to be more smart in time before it actually starts disintegrating, we can have a even more beautiful relationship with someone. And in that same way, we have so many things ascribed to our name or even qualities that we possess, which are again temporary. And we have a chance to use it to advance in our relationship with the Lord and for that to be sweeter and deeper and more personal and more pleasing. So that's our chance. And that there is a songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas. I've been trying to sing more bhajans in the last section of time in my life. And I want to bring just a verse or two verses from, this is from Vidyara Vilasa, which is a section of Sharangati. And that's written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'm going to read the translation of the verse 1 and last verse, verse 6. With great confidence, I passed the time and the pleasures of mundane learning. I never worshipped your lotus feet, O Lord, but now you are my only shelter. O Lord, there is no other treasure in this world but your lotus feet. Thus, Bhaktivinoda, giving up all mundane knowledge, makes your lotus feet the sum and substance of his life. And so that's, again, this beautiful contribution of one of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who translated such elevated concepts of his own spiritual realization and realizations of our tradition into a simplified poetry and song. And that's again the similar realization, which in a way is a universal realization I hope we all come to at some point very strongly, that the kings are having, which is that time comes and it will take everything away. And that means that it is not to be wasted because we can actually then offer the time we are given in the service of the Lord and realize before we are in an old age and everything is stripped away from us. And in a way that is also beautiful nature's arrangement to turn towards the spiritual path more. We have a chance to actually recognize that the lotus feet of the Lord are actually the greatest gift, like that, to attain that is the greatest gift we can ever have. And so I was thinking also how as spiritualists, a person who is truly deep in their realization and connection with the Lord is actually themselves or himself or herself like dead to the world, because there's nothing material that interests them in the world. And at the same time, they are full of life because they're always seeking the relationship with the Lord and how they can come closer. And that relationship is the greatest opulence that one can have in their life. And so again, in this pastime, the kings are experiencing the loss and the near death of everything. And then they realize at that point that they are not the controllers and they are having the supreme mercy of meeting the Supreme Lord. And before their death, to realize that now they can actually offer their lives in this sweet way of, in a way, already being ready to die, and at the same time also losing their fear of death because they're gaining life and because they're losing their attachment to all the opulences that they are having. And that reminded me of in our beautiful culture, there's a term that we use, which is Maharaj, and that means a great king. But we use this term of endearment towards spiritual masters who often are renunciants, um, and that shows that they are great kings because they're great personalities because of their relationship with the Lord. Like that's the greatest opulence that they are carrying. And not only carrying, they're also sharing it. And so the kings now are almost transformed into those great kings which are having deep spiritual values and are instructed to go back to their services also as leaders, but to then fully infuse them with devotion. And they're ready to do it as well because they're actually already so detached from all that they are having. And in that way, they're able to truly serve their subjects. And so I wanted to ask, I have a question written down. One is this concept, before I ask the question, there is this concept of that Bhakti Tirtha Swami, as far as I know, he said it first, and it's the concept of dying before death, like die before dying. And that means that through our relationship with the Lord, through our loving connection with devotees, we are losing all the attachment that we have materially and creating attachment to the Lord that allows us to be fearless and to also not fear even death. And that's like super strong to even imagine that death is pretty much one of the greatest fears. And it's natural in that way because in a way it's like ingrained in our bodies to be afraid of dying. And yet through our spiritual practice, we have a chance to be prepared for death and to even meet it with joy, because that means coming closer to the Lord. And so that question is, how would it feel to not be afraid of losing anything because of our connection with the divine? Like, how would it feel to have such a strong connection with divinity that we just fear nothing else because that fulfills everything we need? And so I want to then quickly again touch about spiritual leadership because that comes in the passage as well. And I already mentioned it previously too. The kings are seeing Krishna, the Lord of the Lords, and they're reinstated in their positions. And through the vision of the Lord, through his instructions, they're also allowed to gain sensitivity to others and sensitivity to themselves and their actions, through which they can truly serve, even while holding power, without abusing it. Because a spiritual leadership is really truly based in service. We cannot serve others if we are trying to serve ourselves. And so, in that way, they are losing attachment to even serving their own pursuits for themselves, realizing that the lotus feet of the Lord are the highest pursuit of their life. And with that rootedness in that truth, they're able to serve others and truly care for them and even allow them through that spiritual leadership to come closer to the Lord. And so they are really sharing the most important prayer. They're asking the benediction of the Lord to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord. And that is the highest protection that we can have, to always hold the lotus feet of the Lord in our mind and heart means that we are protected from anything that happens because we have that connection and that shelter. And that brought me to this actually very hopeful thought, and I hope it's true. I mean, that's also my own guess, but I think, and I have an intuition that because every single one of us is here, that means that all of us, if not most of us, or the other way, most of us, if not all of us, have had an experience of being close to divinity or closer to divinity, whether that may mean looking upon the form of a deity and having this like very specific experience or rush of a feeling, or chanting the holy name and feeling the holy name in our heart, or affecting us, or having orchestrations of devotees appearing in our lives, or reading something that like truly just like made a click, or really made us feel close to the Lord. And so that may not be necessarily having a complete darshan of the Lord. It is in that way partial. But at the same time, it is seeing the hand of the Lord in our lives, or feeling like the touch of Him in our lives. And my own reflection was, I've had those experiences. And am I actively praying for these impressions to remain? And am I actually cherishing them? Because that's also what kings are doing. They're seeing the form of the Lord, realizing how fortunate they are. And the next thing they do is they are praying, like, please, this is such a high vision. I'm feeling so fortunate. I know that this is the goal of my life, to like always remember to have this relationship. May I please like never forget this moment of realization that this is the goal of life and I need to strive for that. And so that's a question that we can leave with. And for ending the class, I would like to read from Mana Shiksha. It's this. There's a beautiful string of 11 verses, and this is the verse 1, and it's instructing the mind. It's also praying to the mind. O my brother mind, with these pleasing words I grasp your feet and pray to you, always abandon pride and develop great and unparalleled attachment to the Guru, the pasturing grounds of Raja, the cowherd folk that reside there, the devotees, the brahmanas, one's mantra, the holy name, and the shelter of the ever youthful divine couple of Raj. So that's the reminder again. We can pray like this to our minds to remember the Lord. And that's the pursuit of our lives. So with that, I will end the class here, or at least end my own part of talking at you, or hopefully for us all. And I want to invite you for reflections or questions.
Ananda Manjari, who was that devotee who made the click for you?
Well, definitely first person that comes to me is my spiritual master, Radhanath Swami. But even seeing devotees, I remember actually one person comes to my mind too, which is when I lived at Gita Nagari sanctuary. There was one Mataji I met, and I would ask her a lot of questions, and she would always want to sit with me and answer those questions, which was very kind of her. And like, she was in her 60s, if not 70s. And I remember one time she just said, like, you know, I'm still struggling to chant my rounds every day, but I'm doing it because I promised and I really want to get there. And I wasn't sure if she was saying it out of humility or if she actually meant what she said. I didn't feel it was mine to decipher. but it really struck me as like this person has been getting up every morning and trying her best for like decades. And that really was a click within the heart. It's just like that's a worthy pursuit. And the continuous effort is just so beautiful to see. But there are many devotees who have appeared as my personal blessings in my life. These are two that coming to me.
You are a personal blessing in so many lives, Ananda Manjari.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we have Shikshashtakam Prabhu raising his hand in approval and surrender, I guess.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your thoughtful class. It made me think too. This is about the kings, the saintly kings. And I just liked what Prabhupada was saying in the purport of the 14th verse, which is saying that to maintain political power is so strenuous. It's like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
And so recently, and then you all of this is a mundane waste of time because ultimately we all have to die. And so I just remembered this meme that I posted a long time ago. Let me show it to you.
Sure.
But this is kind of like that endeavor to maintain power and being motivated to do that. Maybe you can see this.
Can you read it, Prabhu? Wait, let's see.
Oh, okay. So it says, it's a meme of the Mount Everest.
Yes.
It says, every dead body on Mount Everest was once a highly motivated person. So maybe just calm down.
Wow.
And I said, devotional service must be unmotivated, causeless, in order to completely satisfy the self. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam 126. Otherwise, you go through so much endeavor to get to the top of the mountain, and then you die anyway, and take birth again. So what's the use of that? So
Yeah.
the whole thing is, to maintain, these kings maintain so much endeavor to maintain the political power. We have maintain our own bodies, maintain our family societies. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj was lamenting, that all these people are making huge plans for their material happiness. And I am simply concerned with love for them because they're wasting their time.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this contribution. Even to use the image you already brought, it's like the question is, which mountain are we climbing? Like, because if it's the Mount Everest of material pursuit, even if we go to the very top, we're still going to lose everything. But if it's actually the mountain of like relationship with the Lord, spiritual realization, then even if we are like 1/3 in and are like leaving our body, that's still such a big progression towards the Lord, and that never is lost. So that's just really incredible. Thank you. Bhima Prabhu?
Haribol, wonderful lecture, of course, wonderful class, of course. I just wanted to say that there are a certain type of consciousness that we have to imbibe both, of course, and that is the understanding of material endeavors can be vain, or not can be, are always vain. But if we, to use your example, call out the name of Krishna or pray to Krishna as we climb Mount Everest, and when we get to the top, of course, in that solitude, in that, I'm busy, in that, hold on, in that solitude, sorry about that, in that solitude, in that endeavor, if done, of course, whatever endeavor that is, let's take all material endeavors, so-called material endeavors, if they're done with the consciousness, a spiritual consciousness, and to quote your Maharaj, your spiritual master, Radhanath Maharaj, many young brahmacharis came to him that wanted to leave their schooling and join the ashram. And Maharaj actually turned them on their heels and said, go back to school and complete your degrees for Krishna's sake. So that we should never shy away from endeavoring, whether it be climbing Mount Everest, finishing our degree, loving our family, taking care of our family, earning money, enjoying life. We don't hear that much. Oh, you're enjoying sense gratification. No, Krishna has given us this gift of life. He's given us this gift of the beauty of the world. He's also given us many lessons to understand that we shouldn't be attached to them. But if we can remember Krishna in a glass of water, or if we can remember Krishna in the operating room because we finished our degree, we did not view that our endeavor was mundane and a waste of time. A lot of devotees, including myself, wasted a lot of time rejecting the world that we're living in because it was so-called mundane. And instead of that, and then we ended up living years into the future and having no endeavors, disciplines to help support us in an honorable, dignified, dharmic way, and end up begging for the rest of their lives. So I just would like to reverse that consciousness. This is not a world of mundane endeavors. It is our mind which either makes them, it's our mind which chooses, and our heart which chooses to endeavor on behalf of Krishna or on behalf of our selfish wants and needs. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for this comment, Nina Prabhu. I fully resonate with what you're saying, and I'm really glad that you're bringing this point, because what is truly making a distinction, it's not so black and white of this is material and this is spiritual. What truly makes a distinction is how we approach all our actions. If we are really seeing ourselves as servants and we are doing it with the mood of service, and in that way, that already becomes spiritualized. And we can't really spiritualize most of what we are doing with that consciousness. Let's take darshan first, and we can continue the discussion afterwards.
Please turn on your cameras if you can. Sundarananda Prabhu, if you have your makeup on, turn on your camera. Okay. Jai. All right. Welcome to the Afterglow.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Sundarananda Prabhu turned on his camera, which means the makeup is on, but we don't see him. Sundarananda. There he is. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. I do want to reinstate
His
it.
hair is standing on end. Okay, Ananda, Manjari, back to you.
I just came out of the shower. Sorry about that.
That's okay, totally. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I want to reinstate that point because I find it to be so important. Which is that in a way we can choose what is material and what is spiritual through our own relationship with it. And so even in the past time, like the kings were first amassing their power for the sake of feeling that they are powerful and that they have the control over others or over their kingdoms. And that already was they didn't change their professions, like truly. And in fact, there was even a moment in which perhaps there was a question of it after having darshan of the Lord, and the Lord himself asked them to go back and do their service as kings. But with the shift of consciousness, with the shift of perception and their own relationship to what they are so-called owning or more so caring for, that allowed them to become kings and for that to be their devotional service. Because they were doing it with the realization that they are not the controllers, they're merely servants of the supreme controller. And on his behalf, they're taking care of the people or the subjects that they're taking care of, for the resources they are stewarding, and all these things. And so in that way, we can have professions as devotees. And that can be even our way of sharing Krishna consciousness with others through our character, through our kindness. And so it doesn't mean that we are not to endeavor in the world. It's more so to say, or to continuously be aware of what is the intention behind our endeavor and what is the relationship we have with it. Because if it starts coming into the territory of feeling like we are doing it because we are trying to secure something for ourselves or to feel more powerful for ourselves or to increase our position in the world, that is quite a steepy, slippery slope to go down on. And so in that way, in our culture, at least in earlier years, that's because that was seen as so dangerous. In that way, Srila Prabhupada wanted devotees to be closer to the temple and to feel in that way more protected. But there are, again, multiple services, and we can take them on, even if they may seem like they're material. They are not, and we are the ones that can decide through our own relationship with them. So that's my response to that. Thank you so much for it again. Gauranga Leela, you wanted to ask a question?
I want to tell you one what happened this Friday. It's funny. And then I will ask a question.
Sure.
Okay. So we were going to the ferry to Manhattan,
Mhm.
at the end, like when we got to the stop and we got out, like there was like the tour guy. There was a lot of them, and he was like asking if we could go on a ferry, like ride. So we said yes. So we like paid him, and we went, and we were following him, and like I felt like he was a scammer. I felt like he was a scammer. And then I realized it was a scammer. It was a scammer. Then I'm telling Krishna, Krishna, that's a scammer. And Krishna's telling me, it's okay, everything is going to be alright. I'm like, Krishna, seriously? Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? You're allowing this to happen. Like, why? And he's saying, it's okay, everything's going to be alright. Krishna, are you serious? I realized Krishna's never serious about anything. He's always the naughty person. So we took a ride on the bus, and like we saw the Manhattan around, and then we came to a stop, and they were asking for a boat, but they couldn't, like, went. Then we went back. Everybody started to arguing, and did you hear me?
Yeah.
Arguing about like that's a scam, that's a scam. So yeah, when we came to like closer to this spot where we were taken, some of the people were saying, "Don't buy them, don't. It's a scammer. Don't do it." It was funny of it, like. So we got out the stop and like near this because we didn't want to. So yeah. So we went on, but it was so funny because like we paid for nothing basically. But at least we had like a little tour about in Manhattan. That was funny. I mean, then we found the real um place where you can get the ferry rides. So that was something new.
And
Yeah,
are
there
you
are a lot of scammers out there who pretend that they know what they're talking about. But we have an actual tour guide through the spiritual world. Her name is Ananda Manjari. She gave a wonderful class today. Thank you, Ananda Manjari.
And I
Thank
have a
you.
question.
Yeah, question, Grangalila. Go ahead.
Will I ever get to see Ratanath Swami again?
Oh, Jesus.
wow.
Will I get to see him?
Oh my God.
It's I don't know if I can answer that, but I'm sure that what I can say is that Krishna does hear our desires, and sometimes he grants them if they're to be supportive for our spiritual path, or so that's possible. And it's also up to Maharaj if what his plans are, but he is always focused on service, and so his mood is always how can I serve everybody and how can I
Is there
serve.
any way I can send him a letter or something?
I would say let's talk about it privately. But I really appreciate your sincerity and enthusiasm about it. Because these things,
Grangalila, you write it up and send it to Bhima. And then when Bhima Prabhu sees Maharaj next time, he'll pass it on. Is that okay, Bhima Prabhu? Good plan?
If I'm seeing Maharaj, then Garanga Lila will be seeing Maharaj.
Jai.
This I
Thank
promise.
you.
Yeah.
This I
I'm
promise.
I'm trying to understand, is it that like the story of like being cheated like was like connected, or the story of the kings like cheating their subjects reminded you of the
I don't
story?
know. I just like made it like I just remembered what happened. I wanted to tell that because it's like funny. And like I see there's Krishna's always there for us, even in like weirdest times.
Yeah, he's always.
I would like to interject here. I think that what that little story Garundalila told about the scammer and Krishna, are you really allowing this to happen? Oh my God, Krishna, are you really allowing this to happen?
Yeah, that was a powerful line.
That's huge because we're going to get scammed.
Yeah.
Krishna's no one gets out of here alive. Krishna says of gamblers, I am the cheat, right? We take a gamble. We took a gamble coming here. Like, I want to be a little Lord. Can you let? And Krishna's like, yeah, no problem, man. Here's a board game for you called Material Life. And guess what happens in the end? I come along and knock over the board game and the pieces go everywhere. So, we're always going to get, and like Grundalila said, Krishna doesn't take anything seriously in this world. He does take one thing seriously, and only one thing, and that's our love. That's our love. And not just our love towards him, but our love for each other. We can do many things in this world, many projects, distribute millions of books, but if we have not love, then we have nothing. That's what our purpose is in this world, to redevelop that love, to open that heart to a certain point of unconditionality that Krishna accepts us back. Because it's really easy to love perfect Krishna, beautiful Krishna, wonderful Krishna. But we have to learn to love like Krishna, who loves us, who are not beautiful, who are not perfect, who are sometimes not so wonderful. If we can learn to love everyone at all times, then Krishna says, come on home. Anyways, that's my story. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. I also trust that what Krishna takes seriously, and he himself speaks about it, is the protection of his devotees. Truly, even if he allows things to happen. Thank you so much, Adi Purusha Prabhu. I saw you waving. I don't know if that means you're leaving or you want to speak something.
He's waving because he's eager to glorify Krishna.
Then I would just want to finish this
Hare
point.
Krishna, can you hear me?
Well, let her finish her point.
Oh,
Adi
okay,
Purusha.
go on.
I just want to say that yes, Krishna does take protection of his devotees very seriously. And also I wanted to say that that pastime itself, or that situation, can bring compassion. Because we may think, oh, we are being scammed, but we can also think, how many times have we been scammers of others? And maybe that's
the same thing
coming to us. Or even like,
Oh God,
sad it is that we live in a world we feel survival, that like that sense of survival.
Hold it.
lost
Adi
my
Purusha,
video.
hold on. She's finishing her point. Don't start yet.
And so, and even that's like, we live in a world where there's this perception of that it's so hard to live in this world that in order to even like live by or continue living, there's a necessity or a sense of like the only way is through cheating sometimes. Like there is that mentality that many people share, and I feel like that's again something to have compassion towards. That we can't even live with fairness in a way. And instead a devotee really thinks and trusts like Krishna will protect me and he will provide whatever is needed, and the lotus feet of the Lord are like the greatest opulence, and that's our goal. Everything will be taken care of. Please, Adi Purusha Prabhu. Trying to ask him to unmute. But it's also hard when somebody is
Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you, Prabhu.
Okay, so she asked a really poignant question, very heart-wrenching. When will I see Radhanath Swami? The Bible says that nothing can separate us from the love of Christ, not mountains, not time, not oceans. And Prabhupada said, I am always with my spiritual master. And then scripture says there's two ways to be with Guru. You can be in their personal physical presence, or you can be following his instruction. So even though Prabhupada's Guru left the planet, he said, I'm always with my spiritual master because I'm doing what he asked me to do. And Prabhupada said, this fly on my head, he's not associating with me. but my disciple on the other side of the world is associating me because he's doing the service that I asked him to do. So you can be with Radhanath Swami right now and always if you take up what he's asking us to do. And we asked Prabhupada, how can we thank you? How can we thank you? He said, if you want to thank me, then give what I gave to you to someone else. So that every time you give someone prasadam, give them a book, tell them about Krishna, you are right there with your spiritual master, and nothing can separate you from Guru. Okay? I don't know if you could hear that, but anyway, that's what Krishna is saying.
We could hear that. Thank you so much, Adi Prabhu. I even want to chip in into one of the very important points that Radhanath Swami made during my initiation lecture is that he said that the way we show gratitude for what we receive is by truly following, like truly chanting every day, truly following the regulative principles, truly reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So I hope that Gauranga that inspires you to hear more from Radhanath Swami and feel closer to him this way. Okay, I think I'll leave at this point unless there are any other questions or comments. Then thank you so much for your presence and for your hearts and attention. And I wish you a really wonderful day. I hope that you can feel very close to the Lord today, especially through chanting the holy name.
Thank you, Ananda Manjari.
Have a great
Ananda
day.
Manjari, Devidasi ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tolerating me and appreciating me. And
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. I was listening to Journey Home yesterday in the car, Gauranga, and I felt like I saw Radhanath Maharaj yesterday. I feel like I was hanging out with him all day.
Jai.
Yeah.
That'll be wonderful.
Bhima Prabhu, are you in that book? Are you going to appear in that book? Riding a horse? All right. Narottam Nitai Prabhu, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I would like to actually say, so I've had, maybe I don't know if it's dreams or not, but I feel like Radha Maharaj has come in my dream twice. Once, he showed me, by example, how to chant, and like with back straight, lotus position, and then like one round with the eyes closed, one round with the eyes open. Anyways, that's personal to me. But then another time he just instructed me to chant, and then it was around the time when the temple in Michigan was open, Shri Shri Radha Gopishana Vallabha. It was right before that. So when that temple opened, the opening day when the deities were installed, it was such an effulgence of prema, like throughout the whole temple room. It was, and Maharaj was there, but it's I cannot put it into words. It was actually you could actually feel, Krishna's love like emanating from the deities. It's hard for me to explain. It was something phenomenal. So very very special, and yeah, and there was one more time when I was like intensely praying, and I was praying um before Radha Maharaj, it was before these two times, and I actually felt as if the Maha Mantra, like, somehow appeared in my mind. So, anyways, a lot of mystical experiences I've had with thinking about Radha Maharaj. So, the intense desire and hankering is definitely, um, you know, applicable to Krishna consciousness. I think it's called lolium. I'm not sure exactly how it's, but yeah, it helps. And that's
Thank you, Narottam Nitai Prabhu. Yeah, lolium definitely helps. I forget what it
also
means.
had that dream. Oh, sorry.
Gauranga, go ahead.
I also had a dream today about Radhanath Swami.
Yeah, just keep it brief, okay? Gauranga, we want to hear the dream.
So basically, like, I don't know what happened. I just saw Ratanath Swami and he came up and like he did this to me like that. And he hugged me. So yeah.
Nice. Maharaj once dropped his bead bag on my head. I was in the restaurant downstairs at the Bhakti Center, and he walked by and kind of put his bead bag on my head, tapping me affectionately. And I'm still going just from that tapping. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your association. Karen, is Isaiah ready? Bring him on.
He's coming. Are you coming? He's busy petting the kitty cat upstairs.
He needs to have a second. Who's his second? Oh, there he is.
What? Okay.
Good. Good. We heard it. Thank you very much. Isaiah, you're the best. All right. Hare Krishna. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Happy Sunday. Go to the temple, sweat, chant, dance, feast for Krishna, and treat devotees affectionately for Krishna. Sundarananda, you coming to the temple today?
I'm actually going to the I'm going to the Philadelphia temple. Gaurasharan Prabhu is speaking there.
Oh, nice. Nice. Please treat Gaurasharan Prabhu affectionately for us.